Hey everyone, my name is Zentropy and I am a solo indie game developer. I got my start back around 2003. I took a long hiatus and decided to jump back in at the beginning of this month. I immediately noticed something. I'm really not very good at pixel art. So I'm starting a challenge, pixel art every single day until I'm good enough to release my first indie game. To establish a baseline, let's go back to 2003. There was a game on BYOND called Hedgerow Hall, made by Hedgemistress. BYOND stands for Build Your Own Net Dream. It's a platform for making and playing online games and is still active today and popular among fans of a game called Space Station 13. Hedgerow Hall was this really fun, forward-thinking sandbox crafting game with an open world. I liked it so much that I volunteered to do some art for it. At the time, I went by the name Ebon Shadow, and probably the most notable game I made on the platform was called Spar. That was a long time ago. If you look at the page here, Hedgemistress says, "I'm not an artist. The graphic tiles I use are a combination of my own scribblings, some commissioned pieces, and others I've adapted from available sources." I was actually one of the artists she commissioned. If you zoom in on the screenshot, you'll see the anthropomorphic characters. I remember doing a fox, a porcupine, a squirrel, and a badger, but I don't remember doing this one with a tail, so I think someone else might have done that. So that's my baseline. Not great, but it's where I started. Here's the thing. As a solo indie game developer, you need at least 3 core skills. You need to be good at music and sound design, you need to be solid at programming, and you need to be decent at visual art, whether that's pixel art, 3D modeling, illustration, or whatever your game calls for. If you look through my YouTube channel, you'll see I've posted mostly guitar and music projects, plus some programming stuff, but not much pixel art. And that's because, as you can see, I'm not very good at it. So we're going to change that. For the foreseeable future, I'm doing a new pixel art exercise every single day. I'm 7 days in so far, so let's go over my progress. For day 1, I wanted to keep it simple. I didn't go in with any particular goals. I was just feeling festive and decided to make a little Christmas elf guy. I don't want to judge myself too harshly here, since I was just getting back into it, but there's a lot I would do differently if I were to redo this one. I had just recently gotten the hang of dithering, so naturally I dithered the heck out of this guy, for no real reason. But yeah, not bad for a starting point. For day 2, I signed up for Skillshare. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. I have no affiliation with Skillshare at all. But they have some pixel art tutorials on there and I decided to give a couple a shot. I followed along with one and made this little health potion. Pretty good course actually. But someone on TikTok recommended I use a lighter color for the outline to help sell the transparency, and they were totally right. I tried that in a separate exercise and it worked a lot better. On day 3, I got a little too ambitious. See, I'm making a video game called DIY Pinball, so I figured I'd double my efforts and kill 2 birds with 1 stone by doing my daily art on assets I might actually use in the game. I had this vision of a pinball machine lighting up a dark room, flashing and glowing with that classic arcade confetti style carpet underneath. The carpet was a real challenge. Confetti patterns have a lot of visual information which doesn't lend itself well to a background tile set. I tried dulling the colors to help it recede into the background, and it was going pretty well for a while. But I definitely overdid the dithering and effects. It became one of those situations where the more I touched it, the worse it got. TikTok confirmed what I suspected. It was pretty good until I started adding way too many effects. Day 4, I was drawing a blank on what to draw. I had a busy day at work with a lot going on, so I just decided to draw my favorite mascot from my favorite programming language. This is Zero the Ziguana, an iguana in a spacesuit. The point of this exercise was to work on selective outlining. Instead of doing hard outlines for the sprite, I really wanted to get a handle on anti-aliasing and letting the edges breathe a little. This is really not something I'm very good at, but I am getting better. Day 5 was an exercise in restricted color palettes. TikTok pointed out that I was bloating my palette with unnecessary colors, so I challenged myself to use the Game Boy palette. Only 4 colors. The tricky part was the hoodie. I wanted to show folds in the fabric, but I had painted myself into a corner and only had 2 colors to work with. I leaned on dithering to fake a 3rd color, and honestly it came out pretty noisy. The face and hair turned out okay, and I'm actually pretty proud of the headphones. The selective outlining on the headphones worked really well. I'll probably revisit this one and fix the hoodie, but overall, I think it turned out okay. Day 6 was a classic tree. Feel like a tree is a great way to benchmark your pixel art skills. Everyone draws trees differently, and how well you draw one almost serves as a measure of your overall abilities. I focused on selective outlining again. I'd found some advice about using outlines to indicate lighting direction, where the outline itself highlights the sprite based on where the light is coming from. That was my main focus for this exercise. I was so relaxed after drawing that happy little tree that I kind of went unhinged and made this guy on a wild tangent. Sorry, not sorry. For day 7, I wanted to improve the logo I'm building for DIY Pinball. I knew I wasn't going to finish it in one sitting. I get this pixel art fatigue, where I can only work for so long before the pixels all start looking the same. So I focused on just 2 key sprites, a hammer and a gear. DIY Pinball is a game where you build and manage your own pinball arcade, building machines and responding to patrons to make your arcade more profitable. The logo uses a hammer, a gear, and some duct tape to represent the DIY aesthetic. I tried to apply everything I'd learned, less dithering, a more restricted palette, but when I went to reuse the gear from the original logo, I just couldn't make it work. The styles were too different. I had to recolor it entirely. Early on, I was leaning on blending modes and layers. Now I'm more conscious about every color choice. Each one has a purpose. Here they are side by side, December 12th and December 21st. The same gear shaded 9 days apart. I think there are some improvements there. The new logo isn't finished yet, but comparing the hammer and gear from the old version to the new ones, I'd like to think the new versions are a step in the right direction. Still a long way to go, but I'll leave you with this.